There's no more Zapdos in Pokemon Unite? The game is finally playable? Well, not really, because the new Theia Sky Ruins map is terrible. Let's talk about why. So, I have a lot of complaints about the new map, but I want to start with what I feel is the biggest one, and that's too many Pokemon spawns. The map is way too busy. And that might sound like a good thing, because people have wanted Pokemon Unite to be more complex, to have more things to do, but when it actually happens inside the game, it's just too hectic, and it's kind of broken down the game. Now, one argument might be, oh, well, you just need to get used to the new Pokemon spawn locations, all the new timings and stuff like that, but unless you actually experience it, you're not going to realize there's just too many of them. I feel more lost now than when I did the Japanese beta test. You only had 2 days to figure out how the game worked, and it was all in Japanese. And it was like it was the first time the game had an open beta, so no one knew what was going on, and I was more comfortable then than I am now with a year of playing Pokemon Unite and this random new map. It's too much to do. It's too much for the game, and one thing I really liked about Pokemon Unite was the simplicity, that couple of Pokemon spawned in a couple of locations with reliable spawn patterns and timings, and it was really about mastering that, taking that 10 minutes and making it a bit more perfect with every game. But now, it's just pure chaos, and I can see why the devs did it, and it seems to be a more casual or anti-snowball-y kind of thing, because there's so much to do that even as a team that's ahead, you can't secure all the Pokemon. You can't make it to all the objectives. There is just too much to do. And while I did complain a little bit about some of like the mid-game downtimes because there was no bees in the center, or like what do you do after you take Dreadnought and then rotate Rotom and then you kind of clear up everything, and since the goals have been broken, there's no more Audinos or Apoms. What do you do? I actually welcome that little bit of peace of mind, that little break inside the game that is just non-existent in the Theia Sky Ruins. The games feel a lot faster now, which isn't really a good thing when 10 minutes is already pretty fast, and this isn't something that's remedied by, oh, make it to where the games last 15 minutes. No, that would be even worse because it's more mental fatigue and even more things to manage inside of the 15 minutes. But right now, like, you take an overextended fight, you spend too long trying to score, and then there's more Pokemon in center, there's more Pokemon in bot. By the way, like, Regieleki is really strong now and kind of contest with the other Regis that have replaced Dreadnought, and before you know it, Rayquaza spawned, things have happened, and I guess we're just going to keep on playing the game out. There isn't really any order, and like I said, I think the devs are trying to go for that chaos because it makes it harder to snowball and pub stomp, because now there's more ways to distract a team that's ahead and also just give more resources to a team that's behind. But now the game has kind of really strayed away from competitive integrity, and it really feels like what Super Smash Bros. 4 did to the Smash series. People were complaining that, like, oh, Brawl with tripping and the floatiness of it kind of made it less competitive compared to Melee. But then Smash 4 came in and was like, oh, this is just a party game. Now, Pokemon Unite feels like a party game where there's no order, there's no strategy, there's no clear path to victory, and because of that, you just do whatever. Everyone's just doing whatever, but in what feels like an uncompetitive way. Now, maybe there's a lot more potential here for like coordinated play and team play in fives, to where you can actually try to like hoover up as much of the experience, as much of the Pokemon, while dropping as little downtime as possible, and still making it to good objective and level break points while still trying to score. Like that, there's just too much going on, and maybe there will be mastery there, but I think that there was deliberately just too much stuff to put on table for anyone to reliably get, and I have to be more adaptive to the game states, and people struggled with the old map. That's what I don't understand. 99% of the players were just terrible. Were just irredeemable at the game, and they wanted it to be more complex when they can't rotate to Dreadnought at 7 minutes, and then also kind of know where to be on the map at the right time and predict enemy movements, and now it's even worse. And going back a little bit, that's also another problem I have with the new map. It is not solo queue friendly, and not even like duo or trio queue friendly. This map seems like it was made for 5 stacks, because there's only one Citrus Berry at top. And there's also a stack of like 3 Natus that are worth 1 Pokeball each. So they're really enforcing 1-1-3, but they're also enforcing 1-1-3 score stacking, mostly enabled through top. I consider a score stacking kind of gameplay to be toxic for the game because it's about not engaging with the game or your opponents. It's appalling to just watch two people walk past each other and handshake the score top lane. That's been going on for a while, but it also gets even weirder when it's like people are skipping A-Palm, which are now Bunnelby. So like, you're ignoring what the game is being like, hey, you get this, you hit your level break points, you can test the center one, and then whoever wins that fight scores, or you sit back and then you wait for the jungle gank, or you go for the bees, and now like, there's actual gameplay there. There's an interesting ebb and flow to how players interact. But no, the score stacking is completely uninteractive, and the Natus just seem like they're there to where you pick off a Natu, that's 1 point, quick score, okay, now you're getting another stack, another Natu, another stack, another Natu, another stack, bees have spawned, you split the bees, and like you're just playing on the enemy side uncontested. Now you can still like fight for it, and there could still be like skirmishes break out and ganks to try to like punish, but the Natus make it worse, because it used to be like the way you countered someone trying to like greedily score stack and overextend is that you let them get their one score, but if you deny the A-Palms, then they have 0 points. They cannot score. They are just going to die or have to blow all their resources, their focus band, their battle item, and then you can also push in, take the center, take one of their A-Palm, and you're just up. And if you get a KO, then you're able to score in return, get the A-Palms on the side, and score again. But now, the way that it's kind of broken down, it's like, yes, this is made for 1-1-3, and it almost looks like specifically trading and then just trying to stack as fast as possible. So now people are going to be stacking their items sooner in a way that's kind of encouraged for that, so top lane is going to get out of control. So even though it was clearly designed for 1-1-3, and even like the bot lane just kind of like splashing a Bunnelby closer to base while you're also waiting for like the center spawn, and then the other Indeedee are just kind of like popping up in weird places, it seems like it's trying to balance out a 1-1-3 snowball by just kind of making it to where you do have more options to secure Pokemon, but the player base is too stupid, like I mentioned before, to realize this. So in a solo queue environment, it's just going to be like default 2-1-2, even though the map has not been made for it. There's one Citrus Berry up there now, and people are still going to go 2-1-2 because that's what they know. The game doesn't tell them anything else. And even if you take like other MOBAs, yeah, League of Legends, everyone goes solo top. Well, that was established so early on, and it just kind of like makes sense with like how the jungle is. That, okay, you have one person jungle, one person mid, there's 3 lanes. So someone's gonna go solo, and that's where the handshake is, like you just go bot. Pokemon Unite doesn't have a 3rd lane, so Monkey Brain go, ooh, symmetry, 2-1-2. And that's kind of like, that makes a lot of problems. And again, like solo queue, somehow if you manage to like coordinate the 1-1-3, a lot of players will fall apart in the 2-1-2 and not like use the 3 to beat out the 2, which was the reason why it started. Like, yeah, a solo player can take enough A-Palms and can prevent scoring enough, while the 3 just run over the 2, get the larger experience from the Audinos, and it doesn't matter what happens top, because bot lane is so far ahead, and you put that into like 2 supports and a carry, game's just over. But those are meta concepts that children and bad players are not going to understand, and it just seems like everyone's too stubborn to convert that, and even if you have influencers, even if you have people trying to like teach this, it's not going to make it to enough of the player base, so just going 2-1-2 is the safest way of playing, but now you're breaking the map. So the solo experience has been completely butchered because the devs thought that like all of this score stuff happening top was the correct way that they wanted to see the game go, which I just disagree with to begin with, and then by enforcing that, they're just making it worse for everyone. And somehow, even with a new map and a new ranked season, they did not split the queues. They did not separate the ranking ladder for solo queue and 5 stacks, so that makes the game even more unplayable. So the map and the spawns have had so many changes that it really needs some kind of coordination to balance out, but that was the biggest problem with Pokemon Unite, is that people don't coordinate, and even when you have something crazy like Dreadnought, it's just a refusal to play as a team, and a refusal to respect where the opponents are going or what their intentions are, which is why the player base experience is so frustrating. So the new map has just made that worse. And even though Rayquaza is better, like the score shield, it feels fair. If you're ahead and then it gets sniped away, you can still break it and not have the insta-scoring happen. You can still get these like crazy mosh fights that determine the game. And if you deserve to win, it seems a lot closer to that. But you don't need to make an entire new map and spawning system around that. Like if Zapdos just gave the score shield instead, we would still have a perfectly fine and playable game. That I hate that the devs listen to all the idiots that were like, oh, we're still playing on the same map. Yeah, it's been a year. Look at League of Legends on Summoner's Rift. Even though Summoner's Rift has had some pretty significant changes, it's effectively the same idea. And that's how you do it. You can make little bits of tweaks, but this is way too much on a map that just plays a lot worse. When the real problem was Zapdos. So you change Zapdos, you make it the score shield thing instead of insta-scoring, maybe change center, because what I really do like about the Theia Sky Ruins is the pit for Rayquaza. Instead of the most lethal choke point known to man and 2 jump pads that put the enemies inside of steal range on multiple characters like Cinderace, Decidueye, and Venusaur, I hate playing Find the Cinderace where it's like, oh man, we won the team fight. Well, it wasn't a clean ace. All 5 of us are still alive, but there's Cinderace, Decidueye, Venusaur, Aegislash, whatever, Dragonite, big steel Pokemon, Greedent is still alive. Well, there's bushes really far away down below, and if I guess wrong, then that means, you know, now it's a 4v1 and they have a better chance of stealing, and it's hard to check all the other bushes. And oh, by the way, they respawned because we're ahead and they're so far behind that their spawn timers are nothing. By the time we clean up the fight, they're coming back in, so we need to get Zapdos out of the way. And like, yeah, I really didn't like that. And like coming in from different angles, even though it does like kind of open up strategy and ideas, it made it to where it was too much RNG of, did you guess which way the enemies came in, when there really isn't like a Counter-Strike go point A versus point B kind of breakdown. It's, were they here? No. Oh, now we're flanked and dead. And another great change was not seeing the health bars globally. That you can't just look at Zapdos across the map and go, it's at 80%, we have time, or it's at 20%, I'm gonna steal it from this bush half a map away. And it's like same thing for Dragonite jumping in from across the map and stuff. That was just another change that needed to happen. You make it to where Zapdos health bar isn't global, you need to be in some kind of range, and it has the Rayquaza score shield kind of idea. Wow. Pokemon Unite is just incredible because I loved where the old map was going and how you could develop on that strategy. Or maybe you do change out the center Pokemon, so you put Rayquaza in, and then you have Rayquaza's center, where you have the more open paths coming top and bottom. So now you can actually split the team, have a couple people go top, have a couple people go bottom, but that's not a death sentence because it's not like, oh, 5 people just crash into the smaller group and the game's over. No, you have like a reasonably quick flank angle to get in. Also, I do like the airstreams that Rayquaza creates. I also like that Rayquaza's pit is thicker, so you can't just sit on the outside in auto attack range and then like steal Zapdos as like 1 or 2 people above the Zapdos when the whole team, enemy team, is below Zapdos trying to secure it. So I do like that it's not as cheesy. The health situation, like not being able to see the health bar, is also really good. The bushes are nice and set up. So yeah, like just change that. Keep the old spawning and stuff for the old stadium. Maybe switch out the Pokemon to keep it fresh, even like health bar changes and stuff. And the game is much better, but now it's just too busy. It's so busy that I'm not having fun. There's so many spawns with so many arbitrary timings, I don't want to learn them. And because solo queue and the players in the game are just so erratic, you also can't really like have good game plans, like how you could formulate to perfect the 10 minutes on the old stadium. So it's just awful all the way through, and it just makes me not want to play Pokemon Unite at all. It makes me not want to make videos. Like, I was even contemplating, like, do I just quit? Not make this video, not make a Mew guide, not make a tier list, even though I have good reads on it. I kind of want to keep playing, but my drive for Pokemon Unite is now lower than ever, even though Zapdos is gone. And that sucks. So, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.